Good morning, everybody. Welcome. So we got Leanne in the house. Leanne, can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. How's it
Yeah.
going there in Bali?
It's really hot, but not hotter than Bitcoin.
That's right, man. This is going to be a huge week. Well, hell, it's already been a huge week, but we've got a lot of stuff popping off right now, pulling back, big volatility, a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, it's just piqued everyone's attention straight away, hey?
Yeah, all of a sudden, retail ignored the first 2 years of the bull market, but yesterday we were on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, search results are going crazy. So retail is back, baby.
Retail's back, and I tell you what else is back. I have had text from not necessarily retail, but Bitcoin holders asking if they should sell.
Interesting.
It's also an interesting thing to discuss. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We'll talk about profit targets. We'll talk about plans. We'll talk about other tradable tickers and assets. And man, yeah, just so much to cover. So, guys, just let us know in chat if you can hear us clearly and see us and everything looks good. Just give us a yes or a hell yeah. And then also let's wake up the algorithm. Just give it a like. Let us know that we are awake for market open, which is in a little over 10 minutes for U.S. stock market open. And yeah, then we'll get going. So cool. Looks like we're good. Yeah, it looks like Leanne's camera might be freezing a little bit, but that's all right. You're in the middle of the ocean, so.
Yeah, I mean, my internet's usually good, but let me just, okay.
It's all good. We'll also do some screen sharing here. Let's get this going.
Okay, we got quite a few people in the chat.
Yep. All right, guys. So yeah, hopefully you should be able to see the daily chart. I'm going to pull this up again. My plan was today, I wanted to do like a market open live stream, talk about, what I did yesterday, answer some questions, look at market open, look at what happens off of market open, because that usually dictates like what I'll do throughout the day. And, yeah. And then, I put out a call to our wealth building community that if anybody in our Discord wants to come on the camera and ask a question, you guys are welcome to do that. So, yeah. Leanne, what have you been up to the last week during this breakout? Have you been buying, selling, holding? What's your plan looking like?
I've been very happily watching my spot holdings just cruise. And I have taken a few trades in and out on Sol and BTC. So as you know, I like to do a little bit of action in between the longer stuff. So yeah, I've definitely been taking advantage of some of the moves. I missed some of them also because I was doing life, which is what spot holdings are for, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And long trades. So yeah, I've got multiple things happening at the moment, but I think it was just, I don't know, just this sigh of relief in the last week. And I think I messaged you during the week saying, I just felt like this weight got lifted off my shoulders that I wasn't holding an illegal asset potentially anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the shift, we just did like a 180 here in the US as far as like just how Bitcoin has been perceived and what the future of crypto in the US looks like. So yeah, I'm stoked, man. I feel more optimism and just like, people just ready to move forward, right? I mean, after the past 4 years or more of just absolutely getting attacked by the SEC and just market sentiment and the anti-crypto army and all that bullshit, it looks like that is coming to a screeching halt, which is a great thing.
I'll be happy to see the back of Gary and Warren and all those crew. So yeah, and yeah. I guess I had this realization this week that if you have been in the space and you have been here for a certain amount of time, it's, you know, it takes a certain amount of strength to stand strong and through what crypto people have been through. We've been through hell and back, really. And it's nice to have those moments where we realize we weren't crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good to be validated. But I actually posted this on Twitter earlier today. This is where I think things are shifting to. I said the first decade of basically Bitcoin's life went from like people saying, you know, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this? To all of a sudden, it's like, you got lucky. Right. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah, sure. 70, 80, 90% drawdowns, you know, yeah, that's luck. But I said, you know, I think this decade is shifting now from you got lucky to it's not fair. And what I mean by that is like politicians specifically, you know, if Bitcoin goes absolutely apeshit here, I think, you know, we've already started to hear this a little bit, but I think some of the left is going to start going, you know what, guys, this is not fair capital distribution. It's concentrated in the hands of, you know, just a few million people. And it's like, yeah, but you were calling us idiots and crazy for over a decade. You had an opportunity to get in, but I think that's going to shift to like, oh, we need to redistribute this. And oh man, it's not fair.
Yeah. All you people shouldn't be allowed to, you know, get rich.
Yeah.
I think that I can feel that narrative. So when you brought that up today with Twitter, I'm like, yeah, that resonates. I can see some gaslighting coming on. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, I just wanted to put that warning out because I know people, you know, are starting to get the texts and the calls from like friends and family saying, hey, I didn't realize Bitcoin was doing well for the past 2 years. So yeah. Let's jump into some charts. What do you guys think? So awesome. Yeah, we got Tone and Matt maybe coming on in a little bit. Sent out the bat signal to a few friends and some other Bitcoin OGs. We'll see who shows up throughout the day. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to leave this open and do some Q&A and live chart analysis. Also, you know, a lot of people ask me like what my routine is. So I kind of figured I'd just do a market open routine like I would on any other day.
Yep, for sure.
Cool. So yeah, usually, you know, whenever I start the day, I'm scanning through news. I also pull up like the paper version of the Wall Street Journal because I want to see what mom and pop are saying. And this is from yesterday, right? So this is like the front page of the Wall Street Journal yesterday. Crypto market gets set for major revival, right? Price surges above 80,000 for the first time. And then if we fast forward to today, you know, usually what I'm just doing is like scanning these headlines and just seeing if anything kind of sticks out. Obviously checking CoinDesk. I like Masari's like news recap. This kind of updates throughout the day. I've also got a bunch of like RSS feeds and stuff that I will read. And then we're still kind of in the middle of earnings season. And we've had some pretty large companies this morning. And then we've also got some throughout the rest of the week and this afternoon. So I like to keep an eye on that. But as far as like crypto related stocks go, you know, one of the biggest stories has been MicroStrategy. And for anybody that doesn't know, the story here is MicroStrategy has been acquiring Bitcoin at an insane rate. And they have the largest public company treasury now of Bitcoin. And that's why their stock has been one of the best performers in the stock market, is because it's pretty much directly tied to Bitcoin's price now. And so I took a breakout trade here in early October around 200. And this thing has been giving really good follow through. And yesterday it went a little bit parabolic with Bitcoin. And I closed half of the trade here into market close around 350. And what I was looking for today is looking to see like where this thing opens. So if we look here at this yellow shade, this is like the post and pre-market action. And we've got about 4 minutes till market open here. but I was looking to see if there was going to be either like a big gap up or a big gap down to potentially like manage this, or there's even is it MSTZ? So there's this inverse, like this 2x inverse micro strategy ETF,
An
which
inverse framer.
yeah, exactly. It's inverse MicroStrategy. So if MicroStrategy pulls back hard, this could actually, get a pump. So I was like, all right, well, if in the pre-market, if MicroStrategy went crazy to the upside and we had a big gap, I was thinking about maybe buying this as a bit of a hedge, but I think I'm just going to avoid that because it doesn't really look like there's going to be a massive gap. We're going to open a little bit down below yesterday's close. So we'll see if it's going to be one of those like dip and go situations where it like pulls back, consolidates, and then rips in the first like hour or two of market open.
Yeah, a reversal.
Hey, we got somebody else on the stage. Tone Vase.
Hey.
Guys,
What's up, buddy?
How's my audio? I had to I normally use Zoom, not StreamYard, so I had to like set up the background, make sure the mic's right.
You're good, man. You look perfect. Or it looks like you're in some kind of digital paradise over there.
Yeah, Maldives, man. It's similar to the Bali event. You got to think about this.
Hell yeah, man. I heard a rumor that you were maybe getting scuba certified soon.
Mm-hmm.
Nice,
yeah,
man.
I can't wait. I'm actually one of the reasons why I'm doing the scuba certification is so that I can go stay in Maldives like a few extra days and just go scuba diving everywhere. It's incredible there.
Love it, man. Yeah, I am a huge scuba diver. I love it, man. Sharks are like my distant cousins. I love it.
And I don't like water up my nose, so it's
Well, Leanne, you're probably at the beach more than all of us, so
yes, every day pretty much.
yeah. Oh man. So Tone, we were just doing some like pre-market price action here, man. What do you think's gonna happen? Are we gonna continue this parabolic rip? Or are we gonna get a nasty pullback? What are your thoughts?
Man, when I went to bed last night, it was literally, I went to bed right at the all-time high. It was 2 a.m. Eastern time. I go to bed. I was telling everyone that watches our channel on yesterday's show that my indicators, my MRI, is calling for a top on Thursday, which means on Wednesday is probably a good time to get out if we keep pumping. So based on my indicators, the perfect exit would be either late tonight, most likely tomorrow, if we keep going higher. So the one thing I wanted to avoid is a pullback today. Like had this candle flew up today, I'm pretty much telling all my followers that I'm getting out. Like people can do what they like, right? Like I don't tell people what to do. I tell people what I'm doing, right?
Right.
And then they're free to make their own decisions. So I was looking to exit really, really significantly later this week because my weekly indicators are showing me a top next week. And I always tend to get out potentially on a candle before the topping candle. These are time-based indicators, but they only top when you have consecutive increases, but they're based on time. Because I'm one of the few traders, I put as much emphasis on time as I do on price. And I'm also used to be an options trader where you have to focus on time as often as you focus on price. So this pullback right now is bothering me a little bit, but market is not open yet. Yeah. And I still have hope that today is going to be another positive day or at least a very minor pullback. I still think we can close today above 88,000 with tomorrow and Thursday pushing into new all-time highs. I just don't want to be biased because, that's my position and that's what I want. And that would make my indicators top absolutely perfectly. But I'm only going to make my decisions after 11 a.m. There's just the 10 a.m. reversal is real. I talk about it all the time. Yeah. And if we're going down into 10 a.m., there's a high probability that we're going to reverse. I don't know if we're going to reverse all the way to new all-time highs, but I think there's a high probability of reversal. The stock market looks like it's going to open nicely, and it could be another bullish day for the stock market. I still think we can make a new high later this week. And my perfect exit would be at the end of this week, somewhere in the $93,000 to $94,000 range for Bitcoin.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting because we have 7 green days in a row, and we've got this massive gap, like a 5% gap on the CME futures. So I could definitely see a pullback coming. Leanne, you were going to say something?
Yeah, sorry, I was going to ask you guys, when's Thanksgiving? What date is Thanksgiving?
Oh, it's very late this year. It's like 28th of the month.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I read some conjecture about profit taking during that timeline, but I didn't know what time America celebrated that.
Yeah, it's definitely later this year. And I'm, you know, part of me is hoping that we hit 100K before then. That way the Thanksgiving dinners are just lovely.
Just turkey for everybody.
Yeah, so
I'm expecting, look, there's some liquidity just above, around the 90 to 92. The longs, I think the delta's like 40 billion or something. So we need a flush.
Yeah. One thing I like to use for like future targets is fib extensions. So if we do that as, you know, from the last run that started around 25K minus that retracement, the 100% extension is actually up here right below 100K. So I think that's where we'll see the most selling, not just because it's the 100%, but it's also a very emotional price level. So I think there'll be a lot of volatility around it.
Yeah, so the one I like, there is a Fibonacci extension. The 1.618 is right there as well. I think it's at 102.
102?
Oh,
yeah, if you use the Fibonacci from the top of the bull to the pullback, and you use that extension, you get it around 102.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there's a few like anchor points we could use. The other thing I like to do is like measure this range from the Japan freakout low to the prior resistance level and just kind of stack that up there. You can see that measured move also kind of correlates with this 95 to 100K zone. So, you know, we went right through the 61 extension pretty quickly. So yeah, I don't know. We're like 3 minutes into market open. I just want to check the futures. It looks like it is pulling back off of market open. Let me check MicroStrategy as well. I was talking through this. So we had a little bit of a gap down. So nothing crazy on MicroStrategy. I still think we could get up to around 500 on this thing. Tone, have you traded any Bitcoin or crypto equities like MicroStrategy or Coin or anything like that?
No, I generally stayed away from that. I mean, in hindsight, I did trade miners. I had some, I did trade some miners, but I did it with options. And I just don't like trading options on stocks that are like in the hundreds of dollars. It just doesn't give me the same, I guess, optionality on options. My favorite option price stocks are in that $25 to $75 price range, which is why I'm going to be converting my Bitcoin ETFs. I've been holding Fidelity. I've been trading Fidelity ETF to support Fidelity because they do self-custody. But as options get launched on ItBit, is way more liquid. It's at a lower price, down at $50 instead of $75. It gives me that perfect sweet spot for options trading. I really like those $50 stocks for options trading.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, and by the way, just looking at the ETFs, I mean, this is what, you know, mom and pop ETF holders are looking at. They're pretty happy right now.
So you mentioned the gap, right? So were you talking about the CME gap, or were you talking about the CME gap? So in general, I don't pay attention to the CME gaps. I've you know, debated this with a few people, and however, the gaps that happen at breakouts, I do expect to close, but the gaps that happened at the bottoms, I never expect to close, right? And this is the thing. People treat all CME gaps the same, and I don't. There are some CME gaps are a lot more likely to close than others. For example, that gap. So you see that gap that never closed? You just pointed to it, right?
Yeah. This was the regional banking crisis pullback. Right. This was actually an incredible buy opportunity.
So a gap like that I never ever expect to close. But like 5 days later, there's a gap, and that gap I completely expect to close, and it did fairly even quicker than I would have expected, right?
Yeah.
So the gaps are not created equal, and and I kind of know that that bottom gap's not going to close like 48 hours later when based on how those two candles went. This kind of gap has a potential to close because I kind of always expect prices to pull back into a prior swing high if it's noticeable. So that swing high that happened in March, once we finally break it, once we finally break that March swing high, I expect a pullback back to that price until the market proves me wrong. And I would need at least 6 months for the market to prove me wrong. Until that happens, I'm still thinking that that gap, that pullback is very, very possible. No matter how high we go above it, only time makes me less concerned. Like if the moving average goes way above it, like we gotta keep going up for like 6 to 9 months before I take that pullback target off the table.
Yeah. And so I ran a back test at one point for Bitcoin breakouts, and it was something around in between 70 and 80% actually retested the breakout. So I think that's pretty likely, right? Is like we got this run. Not only is there the gap close, but we could retest that 75K zone before continuing. Now, I mean, we could run much further before that happens, but I think that is a very likely situation as well. What do you think about that?
100%. But I still wanted to see the top come later this week. I didn't want to see a top come on a holiday Monday because yesterday was not only, it was like half holidays, like Veterans Day is like a weird holiday in the US. It's like some things are closed and I think markets were open. It's just like one of those weird holidays. And I just didn't want to see it top on a Monday. And I would rather see it top on a Thursday, Friday, maybe on Wednesday. And I would have been exiting, and I probably would have kept exiting if it would keep going down, thinking that you can get back in, maybe not at 72, but at like 78.
Yeah. I think today and tomorrow will be really telling. Like, do we get a mid-morning reversal where we pull like a red to green and then start to get really overextended and run for that 100K this week? Or is this a pivot high or a retracement back to retest the breakout? I think I'm looking at the first few hours of today as a guide for that. Do you guys have anything else that you would look for to be a guide for either a continuation or a pullback?
No, I 100% agree. I think 24 hours from now, maybe 28, like 30 hours from now, a little like in the afternoon tomorrow, we will know if that's a top or not. And I think that if we're anywhere above 88,000 by this time tomorrow, I think we are going to go higher into the mid 90s before the top comes. And if we're sitting below 86,000, which is the current price right now, I think the top's in. I think that's basically going to be my barometer. I know the price could be above 90 later today, and it can be below 80 later today. But if we continue this, current price range, I think that by 11 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, if we're above 88, I think we're breaking all time. I think we're going into the 90s this week. And if we're below 86, I think the top is in and probably rebuy in the 70s.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had a break of around 85. If we're below there, I would expect some lower targets to be hit before we move up again. There's some questions in the chat. Do you want me to throw them at you?
Yeah, sure.
There was a question about ETH and BTC. So I'm suggesting you might want to bring up the BTC dominance chart. Someone was asking if they should go into BTC ETH, but you know how most of us feel about Ethereum.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bitcoin dominance has been going up consistently ever since the start of the bull market, or really the end of the bear market in November 22, so just over 2 years ago. And it's been interesting to see how, you know, just a small percentage of alts have actually outperformed
Hey,
Bitcoin.
Chris.
Yes, sir.
I'm watching. I think you're sharing the wrong monitor here because I'm watching you on YouTube and StreamYard, and I'm not seeing the charts. I'm seeing other stuff.
Could you guys see the charts, Leanne?
I was seeing Wall Street
I could see-
Journal and something else now.
I could see the charts when you were talking just now.
Okay.
Wall
Yeah, you
Street
should be
Journal.
able to see
I'm
Bitcoin.
sorry, but that was my bad. That was my bad. It wasn't on the live thing. It was on.
Okay.
It was probably
Yeah.
before I joined. I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I watching the Wall Street Journal? Because I have it
Yeah,
on mute.
You're like, I'm not even
There we go.
in this live stream.
Yeah, the
Okay.
comments, everyone can see the chart, so we're good.
My fault.
Gotcha.
My fault. Yeah,
Yeah,
my fault.
that's
Yeah, I just turned it on to see the chat as well. And I'm like,
Let's
why am I
check
looking at Wall
both.
Street Journal?
Cool. Yeah. So, man, ETH has been one hell of a chart, just choppiness, right? Like, you know, had a great run to the upside. We bought this breakout above 2K and then took a little profit, but I was looking to hold. And then we got this like snap down to retest the breakout. Look at these just stop clearing events and then ripping everybody's face off. If we look at the CME ETH futures, we've also got a big gap that actually broke
3,000,
back up
yeah.
above the 200 period moving average. So I think the odds are much higher that we're going to pull back and retest 3K
Is that around
as well.
3,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, can I? I'm going to be a little controversial here with ETH. So I never look at ETH versus dollars. I only look at ETH versus Bitcoin, and I will
Mhm.
provide my logic for that. I don't know if you want to pull the chart up, or I can
Sure,
take
yeah.
screen share and pull it up. But if you pull up ETH versus Bitcoin chart,
Yeah, it's been absolutely demolished.
and like you can put it on a weekly scale. Right. So this last week was a good week, but it's literally been going down insanely badly. And if you put it on a monthly chart, I mean, like, what is your analysis of this? And my analysis is it's in serious, serious trouble.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be this low, right? It's supposed to, I think it's going to knock out that swing low. I just don't see any other path. I think it's going to knock out whatever year that is. I can like 2000.
2020 low.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's going to knock out that low. And the reason why I only look at altcoins versus Bitcoin, I never look at it versus the dollar. And my logic for that is as follows. A person that is trading Ethereum understands Bitcoin. And if that person wanted to make their life easy, all that person has to do is hold Bitcoin and not trade at all. So anyone that trades Ethereum or Solana or BNB or any altcoin, you need, at the end of the year, you need to reevaluate, did you outperform Bitcoin versus the dollar? Not if
100%.
you're trading out, not if your trading is higher in dollars. Did you outperform a buy and hold Bitcoin strategy? See, I don't say this to a stock market trader, right? I don't look at Apple stock versus Bitcoin, because for a stock market trader, their benchmark should be the S&P 500. Did your trading at the end of the year beat the S&P 500? And if the answer is no, you shouldn't be trading. And it's the same thing with Ethereum. So whenever I look at the Ethereum BTC chart, if that's not bullish, I don't see how you can touch it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, why are you going to take on the additional risk of an altcoin if you're not going to outperform Bitcoin, right? And in my opinion, that's the only reason to hold or trade anything else other than Bitcoin, is you're trying to get alpha above Bitcoin's baseline returns. And I think what happened with ETH is Solana just ate its lunch this market cycle so far. Yeah.
I completely agree. It's funny. So I also have Solana as the only altcoin that has a bullish chart. Yeah. And BNB is the only altcoin with a neutral chart. And we are going to talk only like top 20, top 30. We're not going to talk about some obscure stuff. Yeah. But out of like the top 20, the only bullish one I've seen in this year, actually, this entire year, the only bullish chart I've seen is Solana. And the only one that could turn bullish is Binance, and everything else has been bearish since last year, and it's still bearish.
Solana's been amazing trade this year. I've been trading Solana a lot. with coin margin. That's probably the only alt that the liquidity is good. It's been up, the same pace as Bitcoin. So yeah, that's been a great one to trade this year.
Yeah. I mean, outside of meme coins and Solana and a select few others, like most have underperformed. But Tone, to your point about like using the Bitcoin chart, the way that I think about this is like, I agree with you completely. Like you should absolutely use Bitcoin as the baseline for your performance, right? To make sure you're getting alpha. But as far as like TA and like trade setups, I tend to use the alt USD charts more just because I feel like the TA is better and more reliable, at least the trade setups that I look for. But I also want to make sure that if I take a trade, that it's also working against Bitcoin. So like an example was I took this breakout trade down here in like the mid 50s on the USD chart. It was what I call an accumulation range breakout trade, which also happened to correspond with a bullish breakout on the Solana Bitcoin chart as well. So it was kind of like a double whammy where it was like, yeah, it was going up in USD terms and it was going up against Bitcoin. So if I'm trading it all, usually I'll look at both, but I'm kind of basing the risk to reward off of the USD chart, if that makes sense.
There will be a time that ETH's ready to take advantage of with my USD account too, because I have a portion that I do trade in that too. It'll be ready at some point to trade and then get out.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get some more volatility throughout the end of the year. Just taking a look at like the stock indices. So we've had relatively quiet just the past few days. NASDAQ and the SPY have just been dead flat for the past trading day or two. Tony, have you been trading any other markets or?
No, I've been too busy still traveling. I haven't gotten back into the trading mode. I'm thinking of going back to like trading, but if I do, I don't want to be a public person and YouTubing, right? I have not handled doing both very well. I need to focus on one or the other. Either I have a life of, travel and public speaking and doing a YouTube channel, or I always said that, hey, if I ever settle down and start a family, it's the best time to trade because now I'm stuck at home anyway all day long, and it's the perfect time to go back to being a trader. But I don't know. It's just it's hard for me to focus on both. I would want to turn off my social media and I would want to focus. I wouldn't want that life of being a public personality and an active trader. I would be miserable. I have to choose one or the other.
Yeah, trading and traveling and doing content all at the three at the same time is like really, really hard. I haven't been traveling much the last couple of years.
I can't do it. Like you're you're clearly better at it than me. I have to choose. I can't do both.
Yeah.
And everybody paints this glamorous picture of, people with laptops on the beach trading. And it's like, no.
That's all bullshit.
You need to, you can, but the reality is, like you said, Tone, you have to focus. And, you can either have bursts of that traveling or you don't travel. I just went to Austin to Chris's wealth building conference, and I thought, I'm going to be in Austin for a month. I'm going to get my laptop out. I didn't do one single trade while I was there. So, it's difficult to travel and do content, all of it. It's not as easy.
Well, it's funny. I used to make fun of that meme as well. Like you want to be a trader and you see your life as sitting on the beach with a laptop. And at first you realize you're going to be sitting in the basement with 8 monitors. But if you survive that 3 to 5 year phase of sitting with 5 screens in the basement, and your biggest challenge is going to be over trading.
Yes.
And I always said all young traders, they over trade. The longer you trade, the less trades you will make. So if you can survive your over trading phase, when you're flipping your longs into a shorts, and the next thing you know, you made 8 trades in a day. If you can pass that phase, you could get to that life of sitting on the beach and trading. but that still means you're not, Instagramming all day long, right? Like that's the one that I don't want to get to. So, for example, myself, Chris Dunn, maybe even, you, Leanne, you can sit on the beach and trade with a laptop at this point in our lives, but adding, social media and being an influencer and having a YouTube channel with hundreds of thousands of followers, that's when it becomes not easy.
Yeah, I didn't wear my shirt today, but I had shirts printed that say trade less, profit more. And I've made more money in like a dozen swing trades than I have over thousands of day trades. So like if that's one message I can get out is like less is more. And new traders have this like excitement and this idea that like more trades means more money, but it's actually the opposite in a lot of cases.
And we're not even factoring in fees. It's not because of fees. It has nothing to do with fees.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you guys about the idea of what the hell is happening with the US and the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Do you think it's going to happen? Is the US going to start stacking? And if so, will that be one of the catalysts to drive prices crazy?
So I actually just talked about this on a stream yesterday. It was in Russian though, so it's good that I get to say it in English.
Okay.
So my short answer is no, it's not going to happen. But if it happens, it's going to happen in Trump's last year, maybe the year before, right? So the best we can hope for is he forms a committee. People like Charles Hoskinson that are not on this committee, right? He forms a proper crypto committee. No, there was a tweet. Apparently, Charles Hoskinson thinks that he's going to be chosen for this committee.
Mr.
Right?
Cardano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I saw a headline. I'm like, Jesus, oh hell no. And so hopefully he forms a proper committee, which is actually impossible. Like I think that like 90% of the people that are going to be pushing their way onto this committee are not the people that should be on it. Unfortunately, hopefully Cynthia Loomis could help with this a little bit. Anyway, I think a committee will be formed sometime in his first year, and that committee is gonna take. It's gonna struggle. People are not ready for this. Trump is gonna inherit a terrible economy. Now, I have to make this clear, right? Like, I think the stock market is going to an all-time high. I've been a bull on the stock market in forever. I think the stock market is going to keep flying, but Trump is about to inherit a disastrous budget, like U.S. budget. I have my own spreadsheet. I keep track of the budget. I talk about it on my channel, and he's inheriting a $2 trillion per year deficit. Just as a comparison, when Trump in 2019, the U.S. deficit was at an all-time high at just under $1 trillion. Let's ignore the 2 COVID years because that was just messed up, right? Because there was no income coming in for the country. Right now, 4 years later, let's go 2019. We remove 2020 and 2021 budgets, and then we go 2022 and 2023, and now 2024 year just ended. And Trump is inheriting a $2 trillion per year deficit. He wants to cut taxes. So that means the income is going to be even lower. I'm reviewing the budget numbers. I don't see, I don't care, he can bring on 10 Elon Musks and a Malay, and he's not going to be able to cut this budget, right? He can cut, I don't know, gender affirming care budget, but that's insignificant. Like he can cut all of these useless departments and it will not make a single dent because the government spending is Social Security and healthcare and Medicare and interest on the debt it's accumulated and the defense budget. And contrary to what people say, how much money did we spend in 2024 on all these wars? The defense budget barely went up from the years prior. There's nothing he can cut. So because Trump is going to lower taxes, I think the budget deficit is going to explode, and he will not have the political capital to push to buy Bitcoin. He's going to get crucified in the media. So I think the best we can hope for is the 200,000 Bitcoin that the government has. They lock that up. They announce they're not going to sell it. That's going to bring confidence. And then if Bitcoin pulls back and then he buys the dip, right? He lets Bitcoin go up past 150. People are going to be then screaming for Trump to buy Bitcoin. Then he watches it dip from 200,000 or 250,000 back to like 100,000, and then he buys the dip as he's leaving the Oval Office, and hopefully he does. Hopefully JD Vance takes over, and it doesn't give extra things to sell for political reasons like the Biden administration did with the strategic oil reserve. And that's another problem with the US, right? Other countries like to buy, even China, even Russia, countries like that, they have a leader for the next 20, 30 years. I mean, Putin and Xi won't survive that long, but they're going to hand off the reins to someone just like them, just like in the Middle East and the UAE and Saudi. And these leaders can plan 20, 30 years out. America can't do that because if the administration flips, they want to do the opposite of what the prior administration did. So this is why Bitcoin strategic reserve for the US is a lot more challenging for a country like El Salvador. Like Bukele will hand the reins over to his brother, and then he has cousins. I mean, I think the Bukele family is going to run El Salvador for the next 10, 20 years. Mm-hmm. And they can make strategic plans for 10 to 20 years from now. America can't. I'm sorry. That's not how the political system works here.
Man, I think you're giving Trump a lot of credit that he's going to time the dip. I wish I had that much confidence.
Not on purpose. Not on purpose. I don't think he won't have the political capital to do this.
Man, you've put a lot more thought into it than I have. I'm like, all right, I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of naysayers, and I know there's people in his inner circle that are now very much pushing for it. So yeah, I don't know. I guess the follow-up question is, does Bitcoin even need that as a catalyst to continue its trek? I don't think so, but I think it would really, really help that idea of, the flash flood. It's like if the government does step out and say, hey, we're doing this, there's going to be a FOMO race that's on. Maybe the US doesn't even need to be the leader in that. Maybe we end up chasing another large economy.
I agree. It really doesn't. What the US, look, it's great that if the US starts buying Bitcoin, it's great for the price of Bitcoin. I don't necessarily see it as a good thing. I had the same thoughts about the Bitcoin ETF. The spot ETF is great for the price of Bitcoin, but it's not really great for Bitcoin fundamentally long term, because also everyone is loving the increase in price thanks to the ETFs. People have no idea how much these ETFs are going to drag the price of Bitcoin down. That GBTC discount that was like 50% at one point, that prevented the price of Bitcoin from falling to like $5,000, and it bottomed at 15. Because when Bitcoin bottomed at 15K, there would have been like an extra 100 to 200,000 Bitcoin that would have been sold on the open market from GBTC. It got locked in there like Hotel California. Bitcoin enters, it can never leave. And people don't realize that these ETFs are going to dump Bitcoin in the bear market.
Wait, okay. So your thesis is that like during bear markets, just what normal holders are going to dump the ETFs and it's going to exacerbate the pullback?
Oh, 100%. Because that's what happened in the last bear market when Bitcoin eventually fell to 15K with the FTX collapse. Mm-hmm. At that point, the price of GBTC was 50% below the GBTC holdings. Like GBTC was holding Bitcoin, like 600,000 Bitcoin. And the price indicated that GBTC should only be holding 300,000 Bitcoin. You could have bought GBTC at a 50% discount to the Bitcoin that they're holding to back the shares, because everyone kept selling GBTC. And I was buying GBTC at the time. I was already in. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, why would I sell at a 50% discount? And the rumor was, well, clearly the free market is saying that GBTC doesn't have the Bitcoin and they were probably hacked. And I'm like, no, they're holding the Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. But if that was a spot ETF, they would have to, set it equal, their holdings, to the value of the shares. So they would have been selling tens of thousands, 100,000 Bitcoin on the open market, but they would have been selling it all throughout. So the price of Bitcoin would have absolutely been lower in the last bear market had GBTC been allowed to sell the Bitcoin. This time around, all these ETFs are going to be selling the Bitcoin on the open market when people sell the ETF shares. So it's great on the way up, but like the next bear market is going to be brutal.
I see what you're saying, but I guess there's also a case where, one, there's a lot of liquidity that still has not come in. Like, Nikki Dunn, who is an investment advisor, she's talking to a lot of other investment advisors, and she said most of them are still very much like, still getting into even believing that Bitcoin's going to make it, right? They're like a decade behind. So when they start recommending it, I think there's a lot more capital that's going to come in. Sure, some of those people will panic sell, but I think some of them will keep it in, retirement accounts and just not really care if there's a pullback. And I mean, we've already seen the bear markets slowly getting less and less deep over time. So I don't know. I guess I'm just not 100% sold that the ETFs will cause like a reflexive, just like doom loop of selling. The more liquidity, the more derivatives, the more markets there are, I think over time that actually decreases volatility.
Yeah, no, you could absolutely be right, but you know what? I mean, just and that's not a coin phrase, but that's what we're hoping for. But we're also always preparing for the worst, right? Especially as a trader, and that's what I'm preparing for. Someone in a live chat says, "Yes, an 80% dip from 1.8 million won't be that bad." No, it's still going to be pretty bad for the people that bought in at 1.5 million. It's going to be pretty bad.
Did you guys see Peter Schiff's tweet today?
Oh man, poor guy.
It was about Bitcoin ultimately failing because we're all going to get so rich off it that they're going to have to print more dollars to pay us all out when we cash out, and it was going to be this loop of collapse for the dollar and Bitcoin altogether. It was quite long and quite interesting.
Yeah, the cope is just very crazy.
Print more dollars as we cash out.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris,
what's the debt calculator at?
Check out the 1 hour Bitcoin chart. I'm actually very optimistic here.
Is that 87?
Had a beautiful dragonfly doji candle right there. We had follow through, and we're doing nicely right now. Like I said, wait till 11. We're now above 87. If we can push this back to 88, I think we got a shot at breaking the highs by tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see a pullback of yesterday's candle. We had two pushes. One thing that I'm thinking is like, is this going to be a third parabolic day that actually exceeds the prior move? So like yesterday was a little over 10%. 2 days ago was 5%. So what if this turns out to be like a 15 or a 20% day going into the close? That I think would push us, beyond 100K. I don't think the odds of that are super high, but that's why we're here live and we're seeing like, does this actually play out?
I think the odds of that are very low. I think people are a little bit hesitant to buy right now. They need another 24 hours to think about this. If we can close today's candle, I like to use the term sniffing the all-time high, tomorrow would be the breakout. Right. I think if people watch, if they wake up tomorrow and there's market is open and we're sitting at that 88,500 at this time tomorrow, or maybe a little earlier than this time, like at market open at like 88.5, pushing 89, I think there's going to be a mass entry to just push it over the top. I don't think it's going to be today.
Cool. Yeah. I agree with that. It would be interesting to see if Asia helps us push it tonight too. I thought they were going to try to run us into the mid 90s last night, but volume kind of fell off a cliff.
Yeah. It was pretty,
Asia's done. It's like, it's 10 p.m. over there and they're the ones that dragged it down. So, Europe, no, it's US. If US can push us higher today, I think Asia will buy in tomorrow morning.
Yeah. continue the trend. Let's see if we get a midweek reversal, or let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still kind of hovering around that 350 zone on MicroStrategy. Let's see what Coinbase is doing.
Can you, after Coinbase, Chris, can you bring up Marathon and Riot? Because they're the two stocks that I've been accumulating.
Yeah, Mara had a pop above the 200 period moving average. So this thing has just been a chop fest for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Really, really hard to trade. You know, if we get above this 25 resistance, though, 25, 27, maybe we get some kind of legs behind this move. But this thing also loves to trap.
Yeah, Riot just had, I think they'd finished another stage of their development, so they had a bit of a pop the other day too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of a slower open, which again, I think is welcomed. Let's see. Yeah, with stocks kind of flatlining, like Tone said, I mean, there's this big push. The market's like a heartbeat, right? It explodes, it pushes pressure, and then it consolidates. And the longer the consolidation, typically the bigger the move, which is why after this damn 8-month chop fest, which is why I think we had such an explosive first leg here. But yeah, I mean, I think this is just the first leg of many waves to the upside. What do you guys think?
I'm optimistic. I have a friend who's a GAN trader, and he has Bitcoin out at this early December to mid-December, anywhere between 105 to 130. And he's been pretty accurate all year with his degrees and speed and the velocity it's moving at. So I'm optimistic. And as you say, Chris, it's that rush, that river flowing of money, and we haven't. Retail hasn't been texting us until maybe now. I mean, I'm looking at these numbers and I'm excited, but I'm not euphoric. So that also tells me we've got a long way to go. I always try to keep a gauge on how I'm feeling. I'm definitely happy and I'm excited for it, but I feel like we're just kind of getting started.
Yeah, I mean, for the first time ever, we just now had some trend data start to pop just over the past week.
Well, but what do you search? What's your search term? See, I don't like searching for Bitcoin because Bitcoin word is everywhere. I like searching for buy Bitcoin.
Should I buy Bitcoin?
Buy Bitcoin. That's a good one.
And then go back a bit.
Yep.
Okay, so it is rising. So most of the text that I'm getting over the last 24 hours is people asking me when to sell, not like how do I get in. And also, I'm on record saying we're not going to break 100,000 this year. I'm still sticking to that. I think that we are going to top before 100,000, and we're going to have a pullback to maybe even test back in the 70s, and that takes time. I think the 100K is being broken next year, not this year. The question is, did we already top at 89.9, or are we going to make it into the 90s before the top comes? I don't know. Maybe I'm biased because I still have my long and full. I still think we're going to push into the 90s over this month, over the next week or two before Thanksgiving. We push into the 90s and then have a more proper pullback than what we just had. And right now we're back to almost 87.5. And like I said earlier, all we got to do is hold 88,000 for the next 24 hours. And I think we get one more breakout, but I do not expect that breakout to break 100K. I think that breakout tops before Thanksgiving under 100K, and we get a proper pullback. I don't know if that's down to 81. I don't know if that's down to 71 or 76, somewhere in there. And by the time it reverses and goes back up, we're breaking 100K the following early next year, like January, or like around Trump's inauguration or something, January 20th. That's kind of my feel for the market right now.
Yeah, I think the odds of that are probably higher, right? But what kind of makes me think otherwise is that we've still got like 48 or 49 days left in the year, and we only need to move about 12%. So I think that could happen in one day, right? We could have just one parabolic day that rips, and then everybody realizes what's happening and they pile in. But yeah, I'm not like betting the farm on that, and I still have a lot of cash in case we do get a pullback. I'm going to be buying some dips.
Right. I don't have any cash right now. This is why I want to try to time this exit properly before that happens. And and we just had that candle, right? The question is, are we going to have another candle? We actually had two of these candles, right? One on Trump's inauguration day. I don't consider that the blow off top candle, but we just had that candle yesterday, right? So the question is, does the market have one more of those candles in it? And I'm leaning towards no. I don't think we're going to have another candle like we did yesterday. I think we can still go higher, but not like yesterday. I'm not expecting another one of these candles this month. Maybe, you know, for Christmas, but not this month. And yeah, that's kind of.
Come on, guys. Let's all just market buy at the same time.
Yeah.
Boom. Travis, aka Stock Geek, on the stream. What's up, brother?
Tardfi has entered the chat, baby.
We got the evil stock guy over here, man. What's going on in your world today?
It's actually kind of boring after the last few sessions. I'm kind of in a snooze fest over here. I'm looking for the 30% moves and I'm not seeing them. So I'm a little disappointed.
Are you still holding on to Costco coin?
You know it, man. My dogs are running last night, but you know, they're taking a breather today.
Yeah. MicroStrategy looking like it could test this yesterday's resistance, watching that 350 zone pretty quick.
It's interesting, right? I mean, MicroStrategy is showing relative strength versus the rest of crypto right now. It's certainly an interesting signal. I don't know if it means anything, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye there. I agree with Tone though, generally, that I think the healthiest thing here would be to see things kind of calm down and slow down for a couple of weeks, both in crypto and in stocks. It's just been kind of an insane run over the past, 5-6 trading sessions. Heck, maybe even just the last 3 or 4 trading sessions. And some of these stocks, I mean, like Coinbase, up what 60+% in the past 5 days. I mean, that's a move you don't see very often. So to expect that, to continue, I think is that expectation really is a little bit too aggressive. So yeah, I think the healthiest thing here would be for us to kind of just cool off, chop around for a little while, make it to Thanksgiving, have those dinner conversations. And then I think there's still a lot of people that want to put capital into the market that have been on the sidelines. I had an uncle just the other day, literally, I think yesterday, or day before yesterday, who said that he bought Tesla and Nvidia, his first 2 stock buys in like a decade. And of course, he's coming in buying those stocks at pretty frothy valuations. But there are a lot of people like him, I feel like, that are probably still out there under allocated to risk assets. They've been sitting in treasuries or money markets, or maybe they've just been fearful about the election. And so I do think there's still, quite a bit more to go potentially. But a pause here on, given how far we've come so quickly, would be probably pretty healthy.
Yep. Makes sense. Yeah. We've got Tesla that just had ripped everybody's faces off. Elon's going to save the world, save us trillions of dollars apparently. And yeah, Tesla investors like that. What about Palantir, man? This is kind of the story of the year so far. Once it broke that, that prior pivot high, it did kind of what Bitcoin did, which is just get this like parabolic run. Now, what is it? Price to sales is like 50 or something. Oh, we lost Trav.
Oh, Trav.
Yeah, I unmuted you, dude.
Sorry, I muted myself. Got a baby crying in the background. It's always fun.
No worries.
Yeah, I mean, Palantir's trading for, 50 times market cap to sales. That's like a level at which most stocks do not sustain for very long. Actually, I'm going to pull it up and look at what we are at today. It's actually more like 40 times forward EV to sales, but yeah, like 45 times price to sales, something like that. Obviously, the company's fundamentally executing. The last quarter looked really good. They're growing actually the commercial side of their business. So not just selling to governments, but also selling to, other large businesses. And that side of the business is growing very robustly. That was a part of the story that I didn't necessarily, I wasn't sure if we could put full faith in. Obviously they have a very strong position in creating software for governments and for 3-letter agencies and for militaries. And so that is certainly their bread and butter. But now seeing them grow so quickly in the commercial side of the business, I'm like, okay, that's impressive. Definitely not going to short this stock, but the nosebleed multiple, we've seen lots of stocks trade like that before, come crashing down eventually, even though their business is still okay. Snowflake comes to mind as a recent one. We've had a lot of examples in the past. So it makes it really tough when you've had this big of a run. Again, another stock that just needs to digest itself for a while, grow into that valuation for 2 or 3 years before I'd probably even want to look at it, frankly. It's just too much risk buying at those nosebleed multiples.
Yeah. It seems like, big tech has just been the dominating narrative over the past couple of years. But one chart that I think looks super interesting right now is the Russell 2000. So this is kind of like, the small cap altcoins for the stock market. It's like, do we think we are going into like a major bull run for smaller companies? Is the capital flow going to trickle down from the Apples and Googles and Metas and shit down to, smaller cap stuff? Is 2025 going to be the roaring 20s, or is this a trap and we're going to go into a recession and everything's going to pull back hard and surprise everybody?
Can we talk about recession? I would love to hear your thoughts, guys.
Go for it. Yeah.
I think yeah. I mean, I don't see any signs on the horizon that the U.S. economy is headed anywhere near a recession in the near term. And I think if anything, the case that, small business optimism is rising. I mean, Trump administration, whether you agree with the politics or not, like there's clearly the business community in aggregate is seeing that as a very, very strong positive. Now, they're going to have to follow it up, obviously, with policies in 2025 and 2026 that make sense. There's still a lot of big unanswered questions about how tariffs are going to be used for negotiations, reshoring, some of those bigger issues. But the small business confidence is already up. We're already seeing, even consumer confidence recently has been pretty good. GDP numbers are already good right now. And you extend tax cuts, and you have the animal spirits going crazy in financial markets. And, I just don't see how that doesn't keep the economy doing quite well. You've had rate cuts from the Fed. You've got rate cuts from other central banks, including Canada, the UK, the EU. So China's probably coming with a consumer stimulus next year. The real concern to me becomes inflation kind of spoiling the party, like a spike up in inflation like in the 70s that we saw. Outside of that, I just, in the near term, at least, I just don't see anything to get that worried about recession wise for the U.S. economy.
Tone?
Yeah, I don't see a recession on the horizon either. And I've been saying this for the last couple of years now. Now, there are a couple of things in that. First of all, the current administration has completely altered what a recession is. And they're kind of been lying. We might have been in a recession back in 2022, but over the last year and a half, it's been, I don't think we've been in a recession. And the thing is, the stock market is going to keep going up. And this is the weird thing I try to explain to people. For the average person on the street, life is going to get harder and harder financially. But for the corporation in the stock market is going to fly higher. And you just can't call a recession with the stock market going up and up and up and to the right. So this is probably the reason why they're never going to announce a recession. And I think the stock market is going to go up and to the right, no matter how shitty the life will get for the average person on the street, between AI, removing people's jobs, and a new kind of automation, removing people's jobs. Had this debate with actually 2 other traders on through my channels, where they're like, but Tone, people have to get 2 jobs to like survive and pay the bills. And I'm like, great, that means there's jobs available. That's not where a recession is, right? A recession is when companies are going down and you can't find a job, right? If you're able to find a second job, the economy is booming, right? It sucks that you have to work 14 hours a day, but the economy is chugging along pretty nicely if you're able to find a second job. If you can't find your first job, that's when we have a recession.
Yeah, I think the AI angle is interesting. You know, I saw something weird the other day, which is that Salesforce is going to hire 1,000 salespeople to help sell their new AI like software suite. And in my head, I'm like, why aren't they using their AI software to sell their software? You know, it's like funny. They're hiring more people to sell their AI. It remains to be seen whether or not like AI is actually going to remove that many jobs in the near term. It's like even the call center companies. I read an interesting transcript the other day, and basically one of the CEOs was saying that they thought that they could automate out about 30 to 35% of the call center jobs, but there was sort of a natural limit to that as they ran into like edge cases that AI still wasn't like able to solve, or because people needed to, you know, it's kind of like, you know, if you call like the bank's helpline, right? And you're just like zero help, because you got to talk to a person because you have like a, you know, a very complex use case, right? There's going to be a lot of things that even in that in that industry can't be automated out for a while. So I thought that was interesting to hear them say that they think there's a natural upper limit somewhere in that 30 to 40% of jobs eliminated, you know, kind of bracket. So
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I don't think I've ever called a company and listened to the automated system and ever heard what I'm actually looking for. Like if I'm calling a company, it's an edge case. There's I don't care. Like they're gonna run out of digits. Like they can give me their top 9 choices and it'll not even come close.
How about swearing at AI on the phone? That's always fun, isn't it?
oh yeah.
All right, let's do a scan, guys. Let's see what's moving. Let's see what we can trade today. Let's get Tone back in trader mode.
And while Chris is doing that, if you're watching and you like what you're hearing, can you please give us a thumbs up and nudge that algo?
Yes, I forget to
Also,
mention that.
I got 5 minutes. I actually have to, as funny as it's gonna sound, I gotta go get a haircut.
Wait a
And,
minute.
I got
Wait
a
a
flight
minute.
tomorrow for El
Put your head down.
Salvador.
You look clean. Okay, maybe not. All right.
So I
worries,
I
man.
gotta go do that, and I gotta leave in about 5 minutes.
Well, thanks for joining us. And anybody that is in our wealth building community, if you want to come on the camera and the mic and ask a question, just shoot me a DM in Discord. Yeah, we're going to have some other folks kind of popping in throughout the day. I don't know how long we're going to go here for the morning session, but we're also going to be back a little bit before market close to see what happens. But yeah, Tone, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Oh, thank you for the invite. It's great. Hopefully I'll see you in Maldives. Think about it. Put it on your calendar at least. And you still have like 4 months to decide.
Dude, I have not been to Maldives, and that is at the top of my list for scuba diving. So yeah, man, go get your certification, and then we'll meet up over there once Bitcoin breaks 100K.
All right. Yeah, I'm expecting it to be over 100K by March when the event rolls around. So we'll be celebrating there nicely.
Yeah, man. Yeah, look at Doge, man. Dude, a bunch of stuff has been just getting kind of overextended. So the question, you know, Doge, what it loves to do is these kind of parabolic rips and then tweezer top and crash.
I missed that one.
Yeah, I didn't take this breakout either.
Bye, Tone.
See you, man. But yeah, for anybody that doesn't know, the exact top for Doge was created when Elon went on Saturday Night Live. So that was interesting timing. And
it was.
You know, it was down 95% and then has been ripping back. So yeah, congrats to anybody that bought the 22 cent breakout. There's a nice little 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern there.
Yeah. I should have thought to have that on my radar with everything going on in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can't catch everything, right? That's why I'm like constantly scanning. And I even sent an alert to the community on SUI, but I didn't get a fill on this one either.
Yes, so he's been performing.
I know a lot of guys in the
communities took that trade.
Yeah. Yeah, the 240 breakout was beautiful. Just such a technical pattern there. 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, what else have you guys been trading?
Just Solana. Do you want to take a look at Solana?
Yeah, let's pull up Sol. This is the one that has actually held up compared to Bitcoin, or at least tracked with it. Had big outperformance. late last year and earlier this year, and then has been playing keep up with it. So did you trade this again? I haven't had any recent entries on this.
Yeah, I took an entry down at around 160. I'd already scaled out, but I was sort of on the 4-hour time frame. So I'm going to look. I have some holdings, but I'm going to take another entry soon. Wherever your arrow is going about there.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I was looking for like a pullback for 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I got my
mhm.
eye on. And I've also actually watching Link, and it's just been wildly underperforming, but I've just got my eye on it because I just got this intuitive. It's going to be one of those ones that once it gets going, of course, I haven't taken anything yet, but it's been so lackluster, and it's I know a lot of people are holding this, but yeah, it's been just so disappointing, Link.
Yeah. This is one that, you know, was a huge winner for us last market cycle, the $5 breakout. But, you know, that's kind of the theme though, is like every market cycle, there's a new narrative, there's new hot runners. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense that this market cycle, you know, things that people have been buying a lot of have been meme coins and the infrastructure around meme coins. You know, I think a lot of crypto enthusiasts just got sick of VCs dumping their bags on them, you know, dumping on retail.
Someone in the chat just said Link's horrible with the founder just dumping on every rally. So it's definitely Sergey dumping. Okay. But yeah, it's disappointing. But memes this cycle, Trav, I mean, you've been the meme king.
Yeah, Trav went from a professional hedge fund investor to a crypto meme coin degenerate.
I mean, it is fun. Small dollars, but you know, it's the gain potentials are obviously huge. I've been rugged a few times as well in some positions, but
good rugging. Everyone needs
good rugging. Yeah, good rug and tug.
Good liquidation. Everyone needs a good rug and a good liquidation.
Yeah.
And what's the flavor at the moment? Trump coins or?
So AI coins were real hot for a couple weeks. That looks like it's cooled off a little bit. I think it's the meme coin space is kind of searching for the next big one. I've pumped my Costco bags, Costco hot dog. I think that's still one of the best memes because it's got like a connection to the real world, and it's got the whole like 150 hot dog fighting inflation.
Is it still $1.50 really?
Yeah. They've had the same price on the hot dog.
Why didn't you guys bring me there when I was visiting you?
Yeah, we need to do that next time.
But yeah, I've been looking around. I mean, there's the AI coins are interesting because people are starting like these funds to trade meme coins, and you can actually invest in the fund via a token. And so that's kind of an interesting angle. I haven't seen anyone actually running a meme coin fund that looks like it's doing very well yet. So even though some of them have raised a bunch of capital, I don't know, none of them seem to really be any good at actually trading the meme coins. So we'll see. But yeah, the AI coins were hot there for a minute. I'm guessing
someone's written tat and squirrel coins.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Actually, wait, that must have been popping today. Let me pull up X.
Was there a squirrel coin after the whole squirrel peanut?
Yeah, I saw that floating around today.
Yeah, peanut. Was it PNUT or something?
PNUT.
Okay. We've turned a very serious show into.
Oh, Peanut's ripping.
Oh, Peanut is ripping.
Man, that's crazy. Peanut is a 450 market cap coin. That's wild.
Wow, dude.
See, this is the flavor.
150 million.
You're either buying Peanut coins or Bitcoin, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, this actually had a really nice breakout too, above 15 cents.
Yeah, if you bought it anywhere, I mean, if you bought it at the beginning of November, you might have like 150 bagger, which is pretty wild.
Damn.
I do wonder about some of these though that have they're kind of like the meme coins that I see that often lose like 90 to 99% pretty quickly are the ones that are like associated with some sort of like event, and then the event comes and goes. And Peanuts maybe a little bit different, but like people were doing like no nut November coins, or like, you know, people are going to do like Thanksgiving coins and Christmas coins. And there was a coin, this is kind of funny and embarrassing, but like around tax season, there was one called IRS, but it was internal retard service. And and can we say retard now? I'm not sure, but
the woke agenda has been destroyed.
Yeah, exactly. We can say what we like now.
Hey, I'm just reporting on what the coin was called, but yeah, the don't cancel me. Those coins often, like when the event like is past, or even a few days before the event is about to happen, or is about to wrap up, they'll often you know, be down 90 to 95% because people sell out of them. So there's sort of like a buy the rumor, sell the news on a lot of those event-based coins. The flavor of the month, you know, so you got to be careful with those.
Yep. If we're going to go down into the gutter of degen coins, we also have to mention your Kamala coin or whatever you made a lot of money on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So the three that I've made the most money on this year have definitely been, there was Bowden there for a little bit. And then I started thinking about Bowden and I was like, okay, does Bowden have like, you know, like staying power? And I started thinking about it. I was like, there's a good chance Joe Biden dies, decides he doesn't want to run for re-election, whatever it may be. So then I started looking at some of the other coins, like the Trump and the Kamala. So I was like, okay, she's VP. Like, what if Biden dies? You know, could her coin like moon all of a sudden? It was trading at a tiny fraction of the market cap of Bowden. And so picked up a bunch of that. Not, I mean, a bunch, saying like maybe like $2,000, $3,000 worth. And then in fact, it might even have been less than that. It might have been like, I don't know, $500 or $1,000 worth. And sure enough, like, you know, the whole thing played out where Biden was forced out of the nomination, and Kama coin there for at least a very short minute went up like a 10x, or no, I think it was a 30x at one point for me. And I was taking profit kind of all the way up, because you just kind of have to on meme coins, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, it's pure speculation. It's a game of hot potato, right? It's like, even if there is a cult following behind it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the, you know, the meme coin super cycle thesis, right? At the end of the day, like, even if a lot of that stuff is true, it's still a game of hot potato, and like you're trading based off human emotion and price action. And if you're the one that buys the bullshit, if you believe the story and you're like, I'm going to hold this till the death, then you're going to end up being like a hex bag holder, or a safe moon, or a GME, or, you know, like any of these cults that end up dying.
Oh,
so get in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Get in, take your money and run, man. And then put it into something that's a good store of wealth.
GME is funny that you mentioned that. That was one of the other ones I had early success with this year, because I was like, okay, I was thinking about like what cult coins could have like staying power. And this was before Roaring Kitty actually came back in May and did his whole live stream thing. I just bought a little bit of like GME on Solana, because I was like, oh, well, you know, they have a rabid fan base. What if they decide at some point that they're going to, you know, run GME on Solana and try to create a squeeze? And I just got lucky that that Roaring Kitty showed up like a month later. And that one's an interesting one, though, because it could still have upside, you know, as one of those tokens that does seem to have some staying power. It's got a connection to a real life kind of meme stock cult. You know, it's well off its highs, but like that one's another interesting one. Like, it's at a 40 some odd million market cap, and you got Peanut at a 400 million market cap. I mean, how, you know, you get the right move on GME, the stock, or Roaring Kitty comes back, you might have this one be a 5 or 10x from here.
Yeah, man. So you were buying, I guess, before the pump. Was there anything that made you think that he was going to come back, or something weird was going to happen with that?
Yeah, I just thought honestly that I didn't even have a thesis that he was going to come back. I just had the idea that if GME, the stock pumped again at some point, that you know, there would be a follow through on the crypto side. And honestly, just got super lucky with the timing. But Yeah, again, another one that I still own some, but I sold like really quickly on kind of the parabolic move up there in the May timeframe when Roaring Kitty came back. He might be, by the way, back in GME the stock, because we've had some interesting volume and call option blocks in GME over the last few days. So if you pull up the stock chart, you can see that this week it's been perking up, and there's been some really suspect call blocks, because Roaring Kitty often likes to purchase, 5,000 volume blocks of call options at a time. And so we saw a bunch of 5,000 blocks, I think 2 or 3 trading days ago. And so could he be getting back involved with GameStop? That is one rumor. He did sell out of his Chewy stake because he had to file his updated 13G filing with the SEC once he got below a certain ownership threshold, because at one point he owned 7% of Chewy. And then there was a filing, 2 weeks ago that showed that Roaring Kitty, aka Keith Gill, had gotten out of his Chewy stake. So now he's got a couple $100 million of cash burning a hole in his pocket. And the thinking is he may be rotating back into GME for another squeeze potential. But you've said something interesting about this, Chris, this year, which is that his pumps are getting less and less effective. I tend to agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, we saw what he did last pump, which was right here when he did the live stream, where, I mean, dude, how many people did that stream have on it?
A lot.
Over 500,000?
I watched it. There was like 500,000 people in the first hour, I think.
Yeah.
Like just waiting, hadn't even started yet because it was a delay. So I don't know. Yeah, it was a lot.
That to me just kind of confirms the thesis that I was talking about earlier this year, that I think, shit coins and meme stonks and all this stuff, it's like, it's here to stay forever, because we have like this connected, like, globally connected world where more people than ever have access to financial markets, which I think is a great thing. And when you combine that with people's incessant desire to gamble, it's like, the markets aren't going anywhere. And a question I get a lot is like, well, Chris, did I miss out on Bitcoin? Or, did I miss the boat? Is there ever going to be another opportunity? And the answer is like, hell yeah, man. The markets are not going anywhere. If anything, the market cycles and the new asset classes that are coming out, they're actually speeding up. So if you're dialed in and you're paying attention, there's always another trade right around the corner. And as long as you don't do anything stupid that takes you out of the game, you are on the cusp of life-changing gains. So just because Bitcoin's quote unquote expensive right now doesn't mean that there's not upside potential or other opportunities out there. So the hardest part really is just showing up and not doing anything stupid.
And maybe we're even in a popcorn season. I mean, I'm looking at XRP coming out of nowhere with a big move here today.
And ADA, I think, had a pop
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Some interesting moves out there happening today.
I mean,
yeah, Aave has been looking super bullish too. We've been talking about this in the community. This did a full retrace of the prior market cycle, and then recently broke accumulation resistance, pulled back to retest it, and then popped last week. So the question here is like, are we going to get this whole like DeFi narrative back, the whole idea that we had last market cycle, or is that going to be cut short? Even if it is cut short, I think there's some upside potential there and stuff like this. Obviously not financial advice. Don't buy or sell anything based on anything we're saying. We're not financial advisors. We're just talking about what we do and what our opinions are. But yeah.
And that's, I think, like this cycle, we've had to adjust our expectations because, so many people are like, oh, I bought this because I want a 10x, a 20x, a 30x. And some of them you're like, oh, well, I'll just be happy if that does a 2x move. So I think it's, there's, as you said, Chris, you can participate in meme coins in the community. Everyone's participating in whatever flavor they like. Stocks, Bitcoin, alts, memes. There's activity in all of those arenas. And but I've definitely had to adjust my expectations on the cycle. It's looked a little bit different this time. And BTC has been king. And as long as you're holding some of that, and you can trade everything else to get more Bitcoin.
Yeah, just don't do anything dumb. I mean, how many
Don't
people
do
have we
anything
seen
dumb,
publicly shorting Bitcoin into the rips, or just
this
getting
is
taken
not
out
a
on
time
margin?
to short. Yeah, unless you're scalping, it's not a shorting paradise, that's for sure. It's long your longs, look for longs.
Mhm. Yep.
That's right.
Cool. Well, so just doing kind of a recap of what's happened so far, a little bit of a slower market open today. We've had stock market open for a little bit over an hour at this point. We saw on the CME futures, saw a little bit of a pullback. Bulls are trying to hold us up above 86K right now. Bitcoin dominance also had a big jump back over the past couple of days. We had alts that got a little bit of juice, and then Bitcoin right back up. I think Bitcoin is not done with its trek higher in market dominance. But if we do get some kind of like parabolic rip through 100K, when we do have the first real profit taking that happens, that's where I think we're going to see a significant flow into alts. Yeah, we've seen some jumping, right? Like, I mean, damn, even, Ethereum is up, 40 something % over the last week or so. So these aren't insignificant moves, but like Tone said earlier, you don't want to ignore the alt BTC charts, because a lot of alts have still just underperformed Bitcoin since the bull market started 2 years ago. So, yeah, I think it still makes sense to be selective and to be a sniper. And if you want to trade meme coins and shit, do it, but don't drink the Kool-Aid and become a bag holder. And yeah, I don't know. What other pieces of wisdom would you guys give out today?
Just well, the one of them was don't short. Right now, it's not a shorting time. I don't mind a good short, but no, it's not shorting time. Yeah, I think the wisdom is also, like, I've been really busy in the last few weeks, and I haven't been able to catch all the moves. And I've also had people say I didn't catch the moves, and I've sort of, oh shit, I missed that one. But we're just, I feel like we're just getting started, and there's going to be so many good trades coming up. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, just don't do anything stupid.
TD, any final words of wisdom till we wrap up this morning session?
I like Leanne's advice of don't blow yourself up or take yourself out of the game. But yeah, I think just thinking through the fear and greed, like the fear and greed cycle is really intense right now. And so don't let yourself get caught too much in that greed side when, things are really pumping. Like, think about your plans. I was telling our community members, like, don't ignore your position sizing frameworks, your risk controls, your, scaling strategy for taking profits in the bull market, because a lot of people, like after 2021, for instance, like things can shift quickly. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, damn, I should have been, why was I not following my trade plan? Why was I, why did I hold this bag or whatever? And all of a sudden some stuff's down like 50%. Right. So yeah, just don't ignore your fundamentals of your trading plans and your position sizing in just because it's a bull market and things are moving.
Yep. One thing I thought was cool yesterday, I sent a poll out in our Discord and was just trying to figure out how people were doing. And most people don't even actually interact on Discord, but of the people that did, over 90% of people said they were on track to crush their goals this year. And the average time that our members have been with us just actually increased to over 6 years. So for anybody that doesn't know, we have the world's first Bitcoin trading community. And in my opinion, the best. And somebody asked, what makes you the best? And I mean, I've just had personal conversations with hundreds and hundreds of people over the past decade that have built life-changing wealth in, not just Bitcoin, but also stocks and, building businesses and other stuff. So it's just so exciting to like be living during this part of time where we have the internet, we have Bitcoin, we have access to basically all the information that you could ever want. Like, there's just no fucking excuses anymore. There's unlimited opportunity. So
yeah. I have one more piece of advice that I just thought of.
Go for it.
And it's also for myself that I constantly tell myself. It's a conversation I have a lot with other people as well. It's comparison syndrome. And right now, because we've entered this, quite strong trend, you see all the P&L shots and all these gains, and you just like, look, oh, why haven't I done this? And I've missed this and that. And as a trader, I know myself, I can really beat myself up that I've missed opportunities or I didn't go heavy enough. And that's saying, your winners are never big enough and your losers are, what is that, too big? But
yeah, your winners are never sized big enough and your losers are always too big. It's like, oh man, I should have bought more. Or I shouldn't have bought. Yeah.
That's it.
Coulda, shoulda.
And it's very easy to get caught up in comparison syndrome. Run your race, stay in your lane, have good mentors, and be in good communities, and you'll kick ass.
Oh yeah. Awesome, man. Well, on that note, guys, we'll go ahead and start to wrap it up there.
Or is ass Aussie style much more posh than ass?
I like the Aussie
I like
style.
the ass.
And before we go, you Americans have got a lot to do at Thanksgiving to convert people. We've got to get over 100K Bitcoin. So
that's right. The aunts and uncles, they're going to get an earful. That's for sure.
it all lands on your shoulders.
Just show up wearing a lot of bling and they'll start asking questions. Show up in your new ride.
All right, guys. Well, yeah, we'll probably see everybody again this afternoon. Hopefully we get some volatility today. A little bit of a slow open today, but it's good to see, bulls kind of holding things up. Leanne, Travis, Antone, who's already gone. Thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And you guys have a great week. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Ciao.
All right. Take care.